Hi, Susan. Happy Thursday. It's time for Thirsty Thursday, everyone. We're back to talk about the marketing and pop culture hits and misses that made the interwebs all thirsty this week. Susan, what do you want to start with?
The trial of Derek Chauvin concluded this past week, and he was found guilty on all three charges, which is good news. However, when a lot of people took to social media and started to celebrate it, there was a lot of discussion that went on around how this is not a win. Like the fact that we're in this situation and still having to fight it is a deep loss for humanity, and there's a lot more work to be done. Anyways, while that whole thing was happening in the backdrop, Nancy Pelosi decided to make a statement as part of a different speech that she was speaking at. And she said some things, including the line that annoyed everyone, which is, she thanked George Floyd for sacrificing his life for social justice, which is just so poorly phrased. And, obviously everyone came back at it saying, no, he did not, give up his life for freedom. He was killed.
Murdered. He didn't sacrifice himself. He was murdered. So it makes it sound like this sacrificial lamb that's pushing a cause forward, as opposed to positioning it as like this was a man who was murdered and justice was done. Yeah. Oh, bad word choice, Nancy.
Yes, and just this idea of co-opting pain. Like if it's okay to be quiet in some situations and not have a specific statement to say, but this kind of thing is just the worst way to make a statement.
Yeah. So something that I got really annoyed about, and I get annoyed about these things. So I was on TikTok and I saw the lead singer from the Arkells, this Canadian band, and I'm sorry, I can't remember his name, but he had a screen grab of a Globe and Mail article that came out on Monday saying record bonuses or big bonuses to Canadian Tire and Loblaws grocery store. These are companies here in Canada that have remained open during the pandemic and done big business like Amazon because they were allowed to be essential services. Big bonuses to execs. In that same paper, you flip the page, there was an article on how frontline workers in grocery stores are more stressed out, filled with anxiety, worried about their health outcomes. So you see these two opposing points of view, and I wonder, like, how does Loblaws and Canadian Tire, how do they not get ahead of this sort of thing and think, it's going to seem really insensitive when we know our employees are struggling and we're celebrating big bonuses to executives. Anyways, here's something that did make me really happy and proud of a lot of our small businesses. Jen Agg, who is a restaurateur here in Toronto. You've been to some of her restaurants. I've been to some of her restaurants. She posted this week on Instagram or Twitter, hey, I'm putting my money where my mouth is. Even though our business is struggling, we're barely keeping the doors open. Any employee here who gets COVID or has to quarantine, they get paid sick leave, right? This is something that's being debated in this province for a while now, paid sick leave for frontline workers so they don't come in sick, and nothing's really happening. And I don't know what those big companies, Loblaw and Canadian Tire, are doing for their employees that have to stay home because of COVID. But this little restaurateur that barely is keeping her doors open is standing up for what's right and saying this. So yeah, anyways, that whole story annoyed me, and the Jen Agg thing was a nice light at the end of that tunnel. So
yeah, lots to think about for these big brands, but how what comms makes the airwaves. Controlling that narrative isn't the easiest. The bigger
if you're giving your execs big bonuses right now during the pandemic, you should be messaging out something and showing impact in other ways you're doing to help your struggling employees. Like, anyways, what's next on our list? Oh, I'm excited about this topic. It's all about a caterpillar thing. Okay, go ahead, Susan.
It's the caterpillar wars in the UK. The backstory is that there is a cake. It's like a Swiss roll cake or a French roll cake in the shape of a caterpillar. The original and intellectual property protected version of it is Colin the caterpillar, who belongs to Marks and Spencer's and has done for a while. It's also they give a certain amount of the proceeds from each Colin cake to like a not-for-profit. So obviously Marks and Spencer has been doing this for a while. And from what I understand, pretty much all the other main UK chains also have a caterpillar cake. So there's something from Sainsbury and something from Tesco and whatever. So this seems to be a thing in the UK
Yes,
where people
yes.
like caterpillar cakes. And Aldi, the supermarket, they're the cheeky ones that they're obviously, to begin with, many of their products are way cheaper. They advertise in that way, letting you know that our stuff is cheaper than the others and stuff. So Aldi has a version of the caterpillar cake called Cuthbert. And Marks and Spencer, a couple weeks ago, said they were going to sue Aldi for Cuthbert. And Aldi, because of their ability to shine on social media, they're really quick with the reactive social and all of it. So they came up with this whole campaign called Free Cuthbert. They even changed around some of the packaging to show you that, that plastic window on the cake box, they put lines on it to make it look like Cuthbert was in jail. And so a lot of that. Now, this has started, Will, to get people talking about, is it okay to get out of intellectual property violation by being smart on social? The fact remains that Marks and Spencer's does own it. Why have they not gone against all the other supermarket chains? Don't know. But they went after Aldi. And now the latest move is that Aldi is talking about, why don't we stop fighting and take all the money that we're paying lawyers, and then we'll donate it to both your favorite charity and mine, kind of thing. So many people are feeling this is all a little too flippant and cute, given that intellectual property theft is a pretty serious thing.
You know what? I was saying this to you when you were telling me about this delightful story, that the Aldi must sit there and think, like, do a cost benefit kind of analysis, right? It's like walking that line of trademark infringement and pushing that line, and being cheeky and edgy gives us that reputational boost and attention, more so than our worry of like legal fees and getting in trouble that way. So I'm sure they weigh out why they want to walk the line like this. But when you were telling me some of their other things they did, I was like, I kind of like this Aldi. Yeah,
it's funny. This is not their first rodeo, like you said, on this front. They've done a few things. Most notably, a while ago, they stole something to do with a beer that was Brew Dog's look, feel, and formula. And then Brew Dog took them on, and they made an Aldi IPA. And then apparently everybody made nice, and Aldi started to stock the Brew Dog IPA. So maybe it is a weird mechanism they use. Also, just off the press this morning, they released their spring-summer collection, apparently, and used the Nike "Just Do It" typeface, and they've said "Just Done It." So Yep. Pushing that trademark infringement line. I wanted to talk about something that got my friends and I all riled up and chatting last night on text. So Colton Underwood, he was a bachelor. He was the virgin bachelor. He ended up with the lady from the show. I'm talking like I know this bachelor stuff, but I don't. So I'm sorry, fans, if I get this wrong. Her name's Cassie, I think. Anyways, he's now come out. He just came out as gay on Good Morning America. Coincidentally, he's got a Netflix docuseries where he's coming out as gay. And I guess Gus Kentworthy, who's an Olympian, is like being his gay guide and showing him the ropes to gayness, I guess. And so women have started this petition because Colton had the woman got a restraining order against him. He was stalking. So there's factual things where he was being abusive in some way to this woman, not physically, but like stalking and that sort of thing. So there's a petition. It's got almost 30,000 signatures to say, Netflix, cancel this show. Like, why are you giving a man like this, regardless of his coming out journey and how we have empathy for being a closeted Christian and not knowing how, like all of that sort of thing. Still, Netflix, why are you giving this man a platform who was dangerous towards women? And the thing that bothers me is Netflix has not said a thing about it. I think they're hoping it all blows over. Some people have pointed out, my friends last night were like, it's kind of like the two Ken dolls of gay culture, right? So maybe that makes it easier to not think about his dangerous past or his abusive past, because he's a handsome, blonde, blue-eyed boy next door being led around New York with a gay guide who's a handsome, blonde Olympian, right? So they're saying, is that why you're not, doing anything about it? So I don't know. And maybe, what do you think? Should Netflix be weighing in on this? Like, what do you think? Yeah, I think ignoring it is always a bad idea, right? I mean, if this much of discussion has come to play around it, it's important to have something to say. Yeah, it's heavy. It's unfortunate.
So our episode of the 4 a.m. report is out. We talk about social impact and how companies can show their social impact. So check that out. Susan, I'll see you.
Yeah, with Ankita Rao. She's so eloquent.
She's lovely.
She had some amazing things to say about how to take it beyond just the tokenism and into some real change that you are accountable towards. So check that out.